This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Goonies Minute, everybody. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast where we carefully explore the movie Goonies minute by minute. I'm Brady.
And this is Chris.
And today we are going over minute number 69 of the Goonies on this lovely Friday, the beginning of St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Which today is actually St. Patrick's Day,
right.
But most of the parades will be tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, do you plan on going to any of them?
I plan on going to the parade tomorrow.
The only
Baton
parade,
Rouge
right?
does, yes, a very good job each year. I plan on wearing my kilt.
That's right. Every year, Chris
So,
McMahon
and you know what?
kilt.
It angers me though when some people say, "Oh, it's a kilt. Only Scottish can wear a kilt." No, Irish and Scottish both wear kilts. So I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear it.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's really ticked me off times when people come up and said that.
And then all of a sudden a Dropkick Murphys song comes on and you
You
just start
know
swinging.
nothing. That's what I tell them. No, not you. Well, you don't, but that's not why I'm saying it.
Yeah. You remember a couple of years ago, there's a bar here in Baton Rouge called Happy's Irish Pub, and they just totally cash in on St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I put some Facebook post up about how I had just been in a bar fight and you, like, just joking.
right, I
just
forgot
joking,
about
clearly,
that.
because I would, you started saying all kinds of stuff like, hey,
Yes.
man, you better get out of there because those 8 dudes who you just beat up.
Yes, I forgot about that.
man-
Whatever
man.
happened to that?
I had to take it down. A bunch of people were like, dude, this is just not good for
Oh,
business,
yeah, that's
man.
right.
Like,
People really thought. I remember that.
People
People really
really- yeah.
believed it. That
So I
was
was like,
awesome.
well,
God, I'm so glad you remind me of that.
Anyway, the Goonies. Let's get into the minute.
Let's get into the minute.
In the previous minute, we saw the Fratellis hot on the Goonies trail. Sloth and Chunk had exchanged names and were beginning to bond. At minute 69, Sloth breaks the Baby Ruth candy bar in half and feeds half of it to Chunk. Chunk feeds the other half back to Sloth. In excitement, Sloth begins to scream, and he picks up Chunk, who is still tied to the chair, and kisses him on the cheek. Chunk tells him that he smells like Fizz Ed. We cut back to the Goonies in the cave. Data, Mouth, and Mikey are reading the map. They discover that a part of the riddle on the map will involve the skeleton key. Mikey takes the skeleton key out of his jacket, and thus ends minute 69 of the Goonies. All right, so minute number 69. Sloth and Chunk have really hit it off. The movie has gone ahead and taken care of this very quickly because the pacing of the film in some places can get really redundant, and unfortunately. And the Sloth and Chunk storyline could easily fall into that. So they just go ahead and right off the bat say, no, Sloth's a nice guy. He's not someone to be feared. They're going to have their cute little rapport. On we go. And so we get this, sweet moment where Sloth breaks the Baby Ruth bar in half and feeds some to Chunk. And then Chunk, as a sort of like bonding ritual, feeds some back to him. And then Sloth, in celebration, picks Chunk up and gives him a kiss. And Chunk says the line, "You smell like Fizz Ed," as in physical education. And all these years, I thought he said fish heads.
Well, I thought he said fish head too. And
Yeah.
if you think about, I guess, why wouldn't we think it was fish?
Right.
Why would we have
Fizz
Fizz
Ed.
Ed?
Yeah, exactly.
That's so odd. Now, obviously,
It's a
the
joke 'cause he's
smell
a
of
fat
a
kid.
physical. Well, I was thinking the smell of the Fizz Ed, like maybe like physical education class, like the smell of the locker room.
No.
What are you talking about?
Fizz Ed, just the idea of physical education. You smell like Fizz Ed. When he says smells like Fizz Ed, he's saying...
Let me just
Okay.
let me be straight with what just happened.
Okay.
And our listeners haven't heard it. But basically, I cut Brady off because we had a disagreement and we had a conversation off air, quote unquote, about what this means. And actually, now that he's explained it to me, it does make sense. But no way in the world I would have ever thought that. No way in the other world would. I can't speak. No way in the world I would have used that term. But knowing that he's a fat kid, I can understand. Like if it smells like trouble to him, trouble would be Fizz Ed. Smells like Fizz Ed. Okay, I get it.
You get it now. Okay.
I get it now.
Yeah. But it's a weird
I
joke,
was thinking smells like fish heads would make
that makes
sense.
much more
but then
sense, yeah.
Fizz Ed, like, oh, he smells like the locker room or something. That's what I was thinking, So I guess there's different ways you could look at it. I do agree with you.
Yeah. And there's a part of me that agrees with your generalization.
I mean, you can understand why
he
I'm
would
saying
smell
that,
like a locker
because
room.
this
He
is a
smells
nasty individual.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Let's get on to the next point.
But okay, we talked that out. Have you ever noticed that Chunk is still tied to this chair?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think that he would say, "Please untie me"?
I don't think
But then again, Chunk, that would be the one reason why Chunk, if I was Chunk, now I'm getting a little bit of friendship and solidarity with this monster, but he still hasn't untied me from this chair.
Yeah,
that would be a little disheartening to me.
You can't expect him to think this monster is going to understand what untie me means.
Well, but he understood it enough to sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger and break free from the chains from a wall. So he's got to know a little bit.
If he motioned to him and gave him the idea, this is what I need, yeah, I could see that.
Anyway,
so we cut to the Goonies back in the well and in the cave, and this establishing shot that we get of the whole room is incredibly interesting because you've got about 4 shots going on there at once, 4 elements. In the background, we've got Steph and Andy and Bran standing up next to a part of the set, the physical set, and Bran, it looks like he's going through a doorway. And then you get a matte painting giving you the rest of the walls that kind of make the circular room. And then in front of that, in the foreground, we get the Goonies who have been shot probably in front of a blue screen and then dropped in as their own layer. And then you get the water droplets coming down. So you're getting like 4 different things to make that one shot.
Yeah, it's really cool. And nothing is really focusing on you. You see everything.
Everything. And that's the idea.
We've seen this a few times, usually with just 2 sets of Goonies, where you have focused on 2 things equally. And it's really amazing how they do this. But that light coming down, I was thinking about it. I guess that light is supposed to be from the top of the well, right?
Yeah, I presume.
Isn't it night? Yes.
Park lights.
It's weird. It's interesting. That's one thing I was thinking about. It looks like, it reminds me of Ghost right at the end, that light down from heaven. That's what it looked like to me. That's kind of weird.
I can see that.
I mean, that's what it looked like.
The matte painting is it's a lost art. It's a lost art that you haven't really seen that much since the 1980s, used as a regular thing. Kind of like the Pepper's Ghost effect would have been used back in the silent era of cinema. But it's different physical effects like that it's such a lost art. And you've had some filmmakers bring them back in recent years and use them pretty well. But I don't know. It's done very well right here. Everything is in focus and everything is clear, and you know exactly where you are and who you want to follow in this shot because of this really cool shot, this cool effect. And so the minute ends with the 3 Goonies, Data Mouth and Mikey reading the map, and they're kind of doing like detective work by putting the riddle together on the map. So there's a degree of archaeology going on with the Goonies, and they're really kind of putting that to use right here.
So I couldn't hear all of this, but I always heard copper bones, and then we heard westward, and we had to look it up. Foams.
Foam, yeah, the nautical term foam.
And then triple stones is like the last thing he says right at the end of the moment.
Right.
At the end of the minute.
Minute. So
copper bones, and we'll get into it more the next minute, but basically copper bones is the doubloon, but westward foams, I don't know what that is. Of course, triple stones we're going to see. That's what the doubloon goes over.
And when you say doubloon, you mean the
little
skeleton key
looking thing.
Yeah.
I guess, is that what that's?
I'm
thinking of
the doubloon was the coin.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that. That's what Chunk had.
That's right.
Or the
Fratellis.
Yeah.
The Cracker Jack prize.
Yeah. But the doubloon. I guess it would be the skeleton key. Yeah.
We could
That's the
come
bone.
up with the name of it.
Yeah. But anyway, but westward foams.
Yeah. Foam is a nautical term that we. If I'm not mistaken, it's a reference to foam that builds up on the top of the ocean.
Yeah, whenever there's a well, that is true though. Think about it. Whenever there's a waterfall or something like that, there is a foam that can build up. So I guess the westward foam. So eventually, and again, we'll get into it next minute. They was talk about moving the Skeleton Key, when it goes on the triple stones, they talk about moving it westward. So westward foams, the foams being in maybe the
Right.
well. So that's, I guess, that's, as we're deducing all of
As
this
we're
right
deducing,
now.
Yeah. Well, that's the idea.
That's interesting.
Whenever I say that there's detective work going on, they have to kind of put these riddles together on the map, as opposed to the map just saying go this way. We'll see also that the map is also there to kind of just screw everything up for them. But that's the next minute, which we're going to be getting into come Monday. And until then, everybody go out and have a fun and safe St. Patrick's Day weekend. This is Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we're here to remind you that Goonies
Never say die.
Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram @GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com.
You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/PeleMedia. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/PeleMedia and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/PeleMedia.